My right name is Marion Michael Morrison, and the studio decided that it was not American enough. So the studio heads were put together, and they came up with the name John Wayne.
John Wayne was the most powerful movie star in Hollywood, earning over $1 million per film when most actors made $50,000. But in 1960, he made the most dangerous gamble of his life. Wayne mortgaged every property he owned, borrowed $12 million from banks, and bet his entire fortune on one obsession: directing and starring in The Alamo. When the film bombed spectacularly, losing over $7 million, Wayne faced complete financial ruin. His homes were foreclosed, his debts mounted to crushing levels, and Hollywood's toughest cowboy broke down crying in his lawyer's office. How did America's symbol of strength claw his way back from total destruction? Marion Robert Morrison was born May 26, 1907, in Winterset, Iowa, to parents who struggled to make ends meet. His father, Clyde, was a pharmacist who dreamed of bigger things but never quite achieved them. His mother, Mary, was a strict disciplinarian who pushed her son toward respectability and education. Young Marion was a massive kid, 6 feet 4 inches by age 16, but surprisingly gentle and soft-spoken. The family moved to Glendale, California in 1916, seeking better opportunities. Marion excelled in school and sports, earning a football scholarship to the University of Southern California. His plan was simple: get a degree, maybe go into law, and live a respectable middle-class life. Hollywood was just miles away, but it might as well have been on another planet for a kid from Iowa. Everything changed during the summer of 1926. Marion needed money for college and took a job moving props at Fox Film Corporation. It was backbreaking work for $35 a week, but it put him in the orbit of Hollywood's emerging power players. Director John Ford noticed the giant prop boy and was impressed by his work ethic and natural presence. Ford started giving Marion small roles in his films, usually as an uncredited extra or bit player. The young man was awkward on camera at first, but Ford saw something special, an authenticity that couldn't be taught. When Marion injured his shoulder and lost his football scholarship, Ford offered him steady work as an actor. In 1930, director Raoul Walsh cast Marion in his first starring role in The Big Trail. To make him sound more American and masculine, the studio changed his name to John Wayne. The film was a box office disappointment, but a legend was born. Little did anyone know that Wayne's obsession with authenticity and control would one day nearly destroy him. Throughout the 1930s and 1940s, John Wayne methodically built himself into Hollywood's most bankable star. He wasn't just an actor, he was a brand, a symbol of American masculinity and values. Wayne carefully chose roles that reinforced his image: strong, silent cowboys and tough military heroes who always did the right thing, no matter the cost. His breakthrough came with John Ford's 1939 masterpiece, Stagecoach. Wayne's performance as the Ringo Kid made him a household name overnight. Suddenly, he was earning $75,000 per film, enormous money during the Great Depression. But Wayne was smart with his earnings. He invested in real estate, bought cattle ranches, and started his own production company, Batjack Productions. By 1950, Wayne was earning over $200,000 per film, plus percentages of the profits. His movies consistently ranked among the year's biggest hits. The Quiet Man, Rio Grande, and She Wore a Yellow Ribbon cemented his status as Hollywood's most reliable box office draw. Wayne owned multiple properties: a massive ranch in Arizona, beachfront homes in California, and a yacht called Wild Goose that cost $250,000. But success bred ambition, and Wayne began chafing under studio control. He wanted to tell stories that mattered to him, stories that reflected his political beliefs and vision of American history. Wayne was a passionate conservative who believed Hollywood had a responsibility to celebrate American values, not question them. His obsession began with a simple idea. Someone needed to make a definitive film about the Alamo, the 1836 battle where 200 Texans died fighting for independence. Wayne saw it as the perfect American story: brave men sacrificing everything for freedom. What he didn't realize was that this noble obsession would cost him everything he'd worked to build. Wayne's fascination with the Alamo began in the early 1950s, when he started researching the battle for a potential film project. The more he learned about Davy Crockett, Jim Bowie, and William Travis, the more convinced he became that their story needed to be told with the respect and authenticity it deserved. Hollywood had attempted Alamo films before, but Wayne believed they'd all missed the point. They focused on adventure and romance rather than the deeper themes of sacrifice and patriotism. Wayne envisioned something epic, a 3-hour masterpiece that would rank alongside Gone with the Wind and The Best Years of Our Lives. Wayne spent years trying to convince major studios to back his vision. MGM, Warner Brothers, and Paramount all passed, citing the enormous cost and uncertain commercial appeal. Historical epics were expensive and risky. Why not stick with proven Western formulas that guaranteed profits? But Wayne couldn't let go of the idea. He commissioned multiple scripts, hired researchers to ensure historical accuracy, and even traveled to San Antonio to visit the actual Alamo site. His wife, Pilar, later said the project became Wayne's magnificent obsession. He talked about it constantly, dreamed about it, and couldn't focus on anything else. By 1958, Wayne made a fateful decision. If no studio would make his Alamo movie, he'd make it himself. He had the money, the connections, and the star power to pull it off. What he didn't have was experience as a director or producer on such a massive scale. The warning signs were all there, but Wayne's ego and passion blinded him to the risks. In 1959, Wayne made the decision that would nearly destroy him. He would personally finance the Alamo through his production company, Batjack Productions. The initial budget was set at $7 million, astronomical for the time. Wayne put up $2.5 million of his own money immediately and secured loans for the rest, using his properties and future earnings as collateral. Wayne wasn't just starring in the film, he was directing it, producing it, and had final cut approval. He hired an all-star cast including Richard Widmark, Lawrence Harvey, and Frankie Avalon. The production would be filmed in Brackettville, Texas, where Wayne constructed a massive replica of the Alamo Mission and the town of San Antonio, circa 1836. The construction alone cost over $1.2 million. Wayne insisted on absolute historical accuracy, hiring consultants and demanding authentic details that would never be visible on camera. The replica Alamo was built to exact specifications, with hand-carved wooden beams and authentic adobe construction. It was magnificent and financially insane. Production began in September 1959, and problems emerged immediately. Wayne was an inexperienced director trying to manage 400 extras, complex battle sequences, and a 3-hour screenplay. Scenes required dozens of takes. The Texas weather was brutal. Costs spiraled out of control daily. Wayne's business manager, Bo Roos, warned him repeatedly that the budget was exploding. They were spending $50,000 per day with no end in sight. Wayne's response was always the same: "We'll make it back. This is going to be the biggest hit in Hollywood history." By January 1960, Wayne had invested over $5 million of his own money. He mortgaged his beloved Arizona ranch, his California homes, and even borrowed against his yacht. He was financially committed beyond any hope of retreat. As production on the Alamo continued through early 1960, Wayne faced a terrifying reality. He was running out of money with months of filming still ahead. The final budget would reach $12 million, making it one of the most expensive films ever made at that time. Wayne had personally invested $6.2 million, virtually his entire fortune. The pressure was crushing. Wayne was directing massive battle scenes during the day and lying awake at night calculating costs and loan payments. His marriage to Pilar was straining under the financial stress. His children rarely saw him, and when they did, he was distracted and anxious. Hollywood was watching Wayne's gamble with fascination and horror. Many industry veterans predicted disaster. How could one man, even John Wayne, carry such enormous financial risk? Veteran producer Darryl Zanuck warned Wayne privately, "Duke, you're betting your career and your family's future on one roll of the dice. That's not courage, that's madness." But Wayne had passed the point where he could stop. He'd invested too much money and too much of his reputation to walk away. The film had to be completed, and it had to be a massive hit, or Wayne would lose everything. There was no middle ground, no safety net, no plan B. Wayne drove himself relentlessly during production. He was on set 14 hours a day, involved in every decision, from casting extras to choosing camera angles. The stress was visible. He lost weight, developed a persistent cough, and started drinking more heavily than usual. By the time filming wrapped in June 1960, Wayne owed banks over $8 million. His monthly loan payments exceeded $200,000. Everything he'd worked for during 30 years in Hollywood was riding on one film's success. The Alamo premiered on October 24, 1960, at the Rivoli Theater in New York City. Wayne spared no expense on the launch, organizing a massive publicity campaign that cost an additional $2.5 million. He truly believed this would be his vindication, the film that proved his vision and saved his fortune. The early reviews were devastating. Critics praised the film's spectacular battle sequences and Wayne's sincere patriotism, but they savaged its 3-hour running time, ponderous pacing, and heavy-handed political messaging. The New York Times called it a $12 million history lesson that forgets to be entertaining. More damaging than critical reviews was the box office performance. The Alamo needed to earn at least $15 million domestically to break even on Wayne's investment. After its first week in wide release, it was clear the film would fall far short of that target. Wayne watched his dream crumble in real time. The film earned only $7.9 million in its initial theatrical run, a massive loss that left Wayne facing financial ruin. His creditors began calling daily. The banks that had loaned him money against his properties started foreclosure proceedings. Wayne's business manager, Bo Roos, delivered the devastating news in December 1960. Wayne was personally liable for over $6 million in losses. His Arizona ranch was being seized by creditors. His California homes were in foreclosure. His production company was bankrupt. The man who had portrayed America's strongest heroes broke down completely. Wayne's lawyer, Frank Belcher, later recalled finding Wayne sobbing uncontrollably in his office. "I've lost everything," Wayne kept repeating. 30 years of work, gone. The king of Hollywood was facing complete financial destruction. In early 1961, John Wayne faced the darkest period of his life. He was $6 million in debt, his properties were being foreclosed, and his career seemed finished. At age 53, Hollywood's biggest star was essentially broke and unemployed. Many in the industry wrote him off as a cautionary tale about ego and overreach, but Wayne possessed the same stubborn determination that had driven him to make The Alamo in the first place. He refused to declare bankruptcy, insisting he would pay back every cent he owed. Wayne's first step was brutal, but necessary. He fired his expensive business management team and took direct control of his finances. Wayne accepted any acting job offered, regardless of the script quality or pay scale. He made The Comancheros with director Michael Curtiz for a fraction of his usual fee. He appeared in The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance for John Ford, grateful for his old friend's loyalty. Wayne took supporting roles, did television appearances, and even endorsed products, anything to generate income. The comeback strategy was methodical and grueling. Wayne calculated that he needed to earn at least $500,000 per year just to service his debts, not including living expenses for his family. He worked constantly, sometimes filming 2 movies simultaneously. His health suffered, but Wayne pushed forward with grim determination. Wayne's creditors were surprisingly patient, partly because they recognized his earning potential and partly because foreclosing on America's most beloved movie star would generate terrible publicity. They agreed to restructured payment plans that gave Wayne breathing room to rebuild his career. Slowly, painfully, Wayne began climbing out of the financial abyss. But the road back would take years, and the psychological scars would never fully heal. Wayne's financial recovery took nearly a decade of relentless work and sacrifice. Throughout the 1960s, he appeared in film after film, rebuilding his box office value while paying down his massive debts. Movies like McClintock from 1963, The Sons of Katie Elder in 1965, and True Grit in 1969 proved Wayne could still draw audiences. The breakthrough came with True Grit, which earned Wayne his only Academy Award for Best Actor. At age 62, playing the gruff one-eyed Marshal Rooster Cogburn, Wayne delivered a performance that reminded Hollywood why he'd been a star for 4 decades. The film was both a critical and commercial success, earning over $15 million domestically. Wayne used his renewed leverage to negotiate better deals. He demanded higher salaries plus percentages of profits. He also returned to producing, but much more carefully this time. Wayne partnered with established studios rather than financing projects himself, spreading the risk and ensuring professional oversight. By 1968, Wayne had paid off approximately $4.5 million of his debt. His creditors, impressed by his determination and consistent payments, agreed to forgive the remaining $1.5 million in exchange for a percentage of his future earnings. Wayne was finally free from the financial disaster that had nearly destroyed him. The experience fundamentally changed Wayne's approach to business and life. He became much more conservative with investments, never again risking more than he could afford to lose. Wayne also became more selective about projects, focusing on quality over quantity for the first time in his career. Most importantly, Wayne learned that even the biggest stars are vulnerable to failure. The man who had seemed invincible discovered his own mortality, both financially and personally. John Wayne's near destruction and remarkable recovery offer timeless lessons about risk, ego, and resilience. His story demonstrates how even the most successful people can make catastrophic mistakes when passion overrides prudence. Wayne's decision to bet everything on the Alamo was both admirable and reckless. Admirable for its artistic integrity, reckless for its financial naivety. The entertainment industry today is filled with similar cautionary tales. Actors, directors, and producers who achieved great success only to lose everything on vanity projects or poor investments. What made Wayne different was his refusal to surrender. Instead of declaring bankruptcy and starting over, he accepted responsibility for his mistakes and worked tirelessly to make amends. Wayne's comeback also highlights the importance of relationships in Hollywood. Directors like John Ford and Howard Hawks continued offering him work when other stars might have been blacklisted. Wayne's reputation for professionalism and integrity, built over decades, provided a foundation for his recovery. Perhaps most significantly, Wayne's experience with the Alamo didn't diminish his love for filmmaking or his commitment to telling stories he believed in. He continued making movies until shortly before his death from cancer in 1979, but he never again confused artistic passion with business sense. The irony is that The Alamo, the film that nearly destroyed Wayne, has gained respect over the decades. Modern critics appreciate its sincerity and spectacular production values. The movie that lost millions in 1960 is now considered a flawed but fascinating piece of American cinema. Wayne's willingness to risk everything for his beliefs, even when it nearly destroyed him, actually enhanced his legend in the long run. John Wayne died on June 11, 1979, having fully recovered from his financial disaster and cemented his status as an American icon. His estate was worth over $7 million, a fortune rebuilt through sheer determination and 2 decades of hard work. More importantly, Wayne had preserved his dignity and paid his debts, proving that his screen persona of moral strength was rooted in genuine character. The legacy of Wayne's Alamo gamble extends far beyond Hollywood accounting. It became a defining story about the American dream, not just the possibility of great success, but the reality that success can disappear overnight if you're not careful. Wayne's recovery demonstrated that failure doesn't have to be final if you're willing to fight for redemption. Today, The Alamo stands as both Wayne's greatest folly and his most personal achievement. The film he nearly died making reflects his deepest beliefs about heroism, sacrifice, and American values. While it failed commercially, it succeeded in expressing Wayne's artistic vision with uncompromising authenticity. For modern entertainers and entrepreneurs, Wayne's story serves as both inspiration and warning. Dream big, but calculate risks carefully. Pursue your passion, but don't mortgage your family's future. And if you do fall, get back up and keep fighting. because sometimes the comeback is more impressive than the original success. John Wayne bet everything on one movie and lost. But in fighting his way back from ruin, he won something more valuable than money: proof that the heroic characters he played on screen were reflections of the man behind the camera. The Duke's greatest role wasn't Rooster Cogburn or Ethan Edwards. It was playing himself during the darkest decade of his life, when Hollywood's toughest cowboy had to prove he was as strong as the heroes he portrayed. Thanks for watching. Click here to check another video, and make sure to subscribe to our channel.